but I'm not sure the kind of of unilateral support to Ukraine will help. I'm not sure, because it's really a subject where you need the Russians on board. And once again, when you have on Eastern Partnership a specific platform dedicated to energy, okay, but where does the gas cost come from? You know, one way or another, Russia is 1/4, 25% of the gas and of the oil used in the EU, final use, final consumption. So it's really a big supplier, and I think for me, this energy should not be seen in geopolitical terms. Perhaps geopolitics is unavoidable in energy, but I think it should be seen as an element of interdependence. Interdependence. And we depend on Russian energy in the EU, but Russia depends on us to buy their gas and their oil. They are more dependent on our imports than we are from their exports. So I really see it as a a policy where we could try to work together and to play, where the EU could play a more positive role.
Thank you.
I have a question about common EU defense policy. It's not a secret that majority of EU member countries are NATO members, yes? And what are the ways of NATO defense system and EU defense system? Is it the same systems, or maybe the European defense system is built on the NATO system? And can Ukraine join European defense policy system?
The answer is very clear. When we decided to launch between Britain and France the Common Defense Policy, CSDP, it was a historical compromise. And the historical compromise has two sides. First side is that you have in the EU an autonomous capacity of action for crisis management. So it means the EU can act without NATO. But on the other side, the EU, this CSDP, is to support the NATO. And NATO remains the base for collective defense for its members. And France accepted that in the compromise of 1998, Saint-Malo summit. And this formulation has been taken over in the Lisbon Treaty. In the Lisbon Treaty, it is written that collective defense of EU members, which are also NATO members, is based on NATO. So, in the field of collective defense, protection of territory, of sovereignty, anti-missile defense, etc., these are questions which are in the field of NATO. The comparison. There is no discussion on these issues in EU. France and Britain have nuclear forces, nuclear deterrence. Since 1974, it is written in the treaties that, in the NATO statements, that these forces of France and Britain are contributing to NATO defense, globally speaking. So there is a recognition of the role, specific role of French and UK deterrence to the defense of NATO. But there was never such a commitment in the EU. Because in the EU, we don't speak about collective defense. This is not a question of the EU. The EU is only speaking on crisis management through civilian military means, and the Britain always refused to build an autonomous capacity to plan military operations in the EU. If you want to plan an operation in the EU, you can do it both ways. Either it is a national operation, military operation, planned by France or planned by Germany or by the UK, and you multilateralize that. It's a UK planification, French planification, but you are a kind of multilateralization with the EU flag. Or the other way, you use NATO military command. It's an EU operation, but using the structure of NATO. For example, in Bosnia today, or it was the case also in Macedonia. So, and in Africa, it was national operations. But between the two, there is no capacity of the EU to plan an operation by itself, because there is no this capacity in Brussels. We Frenchmen want to do that, to achieve that. It's our priority for France, but also other countries would be happy with that. But Britain always refused, because they don't want to duplicate the military command structure of NATO. Because they think if we do that, it will weaken NATO, and they don't want to lose this transatlantic relationship.